Now, this is the Fox 11 10 o'clock news.
That this hurts the heart of people. I hope that there are people that are offended by this story. And if you're not offended, you need to ask yourself why, because these are children.
Hello, I'm Jeff Michael.
And I'm Christine Devine. Children are dying, and former San Bernardino County Children and Family Services social workers say they are desperate to save them. They came to Fox 11 News to blow the whistle on a department they say regularly ignores evidence of abuse and lets children die. Our sources accuse the department of covering up the worst cases.
Reporter Gina Silva has spent the last 3 months investigating the department. She has learned about children who were abused, tortured, and murdered while under the supervision of CFS. Tonight, we begin a series of reports on the department and the children who would be alive today if CFS had done its job.
And we warn you, the stories and the images are extremely disturbing. Our sources asked us to show the photos as they were taken so you can see what these children endured.
Social workers are being told to leave children in homes that they know are unsafe.
I have been told to manipulate reports and omit information.
I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't sleep at night.
Children are dying, and children need our help.
Former San Bernardino social workers and department insiders are speaking out for the first time against Children and Family Services, CFS, a department they say is mismanaged and severely understaffed. And because of it, children are dying. This is toddler Jaleesa Girona Fontana. Our sources say for years she was beaten, tortured, and starved by her parents, Jesse Girone and Irene Corrales. On January 23, 2014, Jaleesa was found dead at the age of 5.5, weighing approximately 20 pounds. Her mother was charged with murder. Her father, murder and assault on a child causing death. Both pled not guilty and haven't been convicted. Jaleesa's relatives told investigators the mother hated her daughter and refused to feed her. The father admitted to police he slammed Jaleesa's head through this wall. Insiders say this child's death could have been prevented. CFS had repeated calls about possible abuse since 2011. For 3 years, Jaleesa was left in that abusive home until she was killed.
They also reported that when mom returned home from work, the child would cry and they could hear mother yelling, threatening to hit her and swearing at her. They told CFS this, and CFS came out and talked to mom. Mom denied it, and they closed the case. There were at least 7 cases where CFS had come out to that home, and all were unfounded.
This is 5-year-old Noah. Doctors say he has severe brain damage. It is the result of a brutal beating by his father's girlfriend on May 18, 2014. CFS documents show the department had 2 prior referrals alleging abuse. The social worker who responded interviewed Noah with his abusers present.
The social worker talked to Noah, and Noah was afraid to speak, apparently, in front of his father and his girlfriend. And so, although he admitted being hit, he didn't elaborate a lot.
So his case was closed. Authorities later discovered Noah was made to sleep in this tiny closet with a TV entertainment center blocking his way out. CFS finally did remove Noah after he ended up in the hospital with brain damage. On November 20th, 2014, this tragedy. Perhaps you remember our coverage. 2 children died in this fire. It was all over the news. What no one knew at the time is that CFS knew the parents of 2-year-old Saul Suarez and 6-year-old Kendra Leach had a history of domestic violence. They were drug addicts, unable to properly care for their children. Fire investigators determined the cause of the fire was a malfunctioning hot plate that was left on overnight. It happened while mom was in the hospital giving birth to another child and testing positive for meth. Dad was home alone with the kids.
He was high. He had fallen asleep on the couch. He left the hot plate plugged into its power source, which was power they were getting illegally from another apartment. And the fire started, and the children burned to death.
I was devastated for the immediate family, not the parents. They didn't know the extent that CFS was involved and that CFS could have done something to prevent their deaths.
These are just 3 of numerous disturbing cases brought to our attention. Our confidential sources say children are being left in dangerous situations every day. Why?
Because it saves the county a lot of money. Because the county is willing to gamble a child's life, thinking it's okay, they're being abused, we hope they're not going to be killed, because if they're killed, then the media gets light of it. But lots of children are left in homes where they just continue to be abused.
You get into this field with the idea that you're going to help people, that you're going to keep people safe, that you're going to do your job, and everywhere you turn, your hands are tied. You can't go out into the field and do your job because you have lawyers telling you what to do and what not to do.
Fox 11 News has learned that because of these allegations and many others, the San Bernardino County CFS is the target of a special grand jury investigation. The investigation began a year ago.
They're also involved, I think, because why are so many children being left in homes? Why are children dying? Why are they being left to die? Why is CFS not protecting children?
We tried to get an interview with Marlene Hagan, the director of CFS. She declined, but issued the following statement, which says in part, "When harm comes to a child, we feel it in every corner and at every level of this agency. The safety of our children is our #1 priority. As public servants, our social workers spend every day working hard to keep our children safe and to connect their families to resources in their communities to help them meet the safety and well-being needs of their children." The full statement is 3 paragraphs, which you can read on our website. Our offer to interview Director Hagan still stands. In our next report, a closer look at CFS. Why county attorneys, instead of experienced social workers, are making decisions on the welfare of children. Plus, more tragic examples of children lost in the system.
I hope that this hurts the heart of people. I hope that there are people that are offended by this story. And if you're not offended, you need to ask yourself why, because these are children.
Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
Gina's next story is Monday here on the Fox 11 10 o'clock news.
Hurts the heart indeed. If you want to know more information on this story, go to our website, myfoxla.com.
Now, this is the Fox 11 10 o'clock news.
Hello there, I'm Christine Devine.
I'm Jeff Michael. Many of you had a very emotional reaction to a story we broke on last night's Fox 11 10 o'clock news.
Former San Bernardino County social workers and other county insiders say children are being left in abusive homes, accusing the county of being more concerned about money than the safety of the kids.
Gina Silva has more reaction to our story, but first, and we really mean this, we want to warn you, this story contains graphic images of abused children which may disturb a lot of viewers.
This is a crime against children, and somebody must be held accountable.
Former Assemblyman Tim Donnelly is lashing out at San Bernardino's Child and Family Services after seeing our report on the children who would be alive today if CFS had done its job. Donnelly is furious.
There is an epidemic of children who are left to die, who are abandoned by those whose job it is to protect them.
Donnelly says the story of 5.5-year-old Jaleesa Garan, who was abused, tortured, and starved for 3 years, broke his heart, especially knowing CFS had repeated warnings about the abuse and did nothing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's a skeleton of a child. That's the part that doesn't make any sense.
That's exactly how many of you felt. More than 200,000 people checked out the story on our Facebook page, Fox 11 Los Angeles, and you let us know exactly how you felt. Christy Vega wrote, "This made me cry. I grew up being a part of San Bernardino Child Services, and I thank God every day that my aunt and uncle took me in and raised me." Angelica Figueroa said, "This absolutely broke my heart and made me cry. Something has to happen before more innocent children suffer under the hands of those monsters that call themselves parents." We asked CFS Director Marlene Hagan for an on-camera interview to discuss the claims in our report. She declined again, but she issued the following statement that says in part, "There are countless children whose lives we have saved due to our intervention.
The sad reality is there is no way for government to completely prevent tragedies from ever happening. The complete response is on our webpage, foxla.com. In our next report, more tragic cases of children who should have been protected but weren't. Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
In fact, more on that. Part 2 of Gina's investigation will air Monday here on the Fox 11 10 o'clock news. And you can go to our website, foxla.com, for more on this story. Good evening. I'm Christine Devine.
I'm Jeff Michael. The responsibility of Children and Family Services, or CFS, is to protect kids. But former San Bernardino County social workers claim CFS is repeatedly ignoring evidence of abuse and allowing children to be beaten, tortured, and murdered.
Tonight, Gina Silva has part 2 of her Fox 11 Investigate series, The Children Are Dying. We must warn you, the stories and the pictures are disturbing.
I've decided to come forward because the children don't have a voice. And I keep getting phone calls and I keep hearing about kids that are dying.
Insiders of San Bernardino's Children and Family Services came to Fox 11 News because they say they have nowhere else to turn.
There was no one that I could talk to. I couldn't talk to HR. I couldn't talk to the union. I couldn't talk to my managers because they were all colluding with one another to try and keep all these cases, all these deaths buried.
Fearing retribution, they asked us to protect their identity. They tell us they're tired of the gross negligence and corruption in San Bernardino CFS.
Our sources say within the last year and a half, a large number of social workers have left the department.
You had a mass exodus. Over 200 social workers, and that can be confirmed, have fled the county. They have left.
Most of them quit over a county pay cut, reduction of their pension, and extremely high caseloads. Others quit over this case. A 9-month-old baby found dead, wrapped in a sheet under the kitchen table. The baby was one of 5 children in the home.
They had all kinds of injuries to their bodies. They had ligature marks, burn marks, bruise marks.
So the social worker decided to remove the remaining 4 children from the home. In an emergency protective custody hearing, a judge agreed and ordered the parents not to have contact with the children under any circumstance. But when those parents threatened to sue the county, a worried CFS had a change of heart and told the social worker,
"We don't feel like the home was dirty enough. We don't feel like the kids were that unsafe."
There's a dead child.
You're right, and there was a dead child, and there was no explanation as to how this child ended up dead, wrapped in a sheet under a table.
Our sources say CFS turned on its own social worker, accused him of lying in his report. CFS had managers in court testifying against him and obtained a mistrial. The social worker was eventually dismissed and given several different reasons for his firing. When other employees found out, they quit. Those who stayed say their workload became unbearable.
At any given time, I had between 300 and 500 kids that I was specifically responsible for, and I was supposed to make determinations on life and death situations.
Our sources complained that managers are currently demanding social workers close open cases of alleged abuse and find a way to leave children with their families or face being fired. Some say they're being told to lie in their reports to cover up the abuse.
What happens is if you leave children in their home, you don't incur any of those expenses. So you gamble, you throw the dice. You hope that maybe the parents won't do something so severe as to cause a child's death or to cause permanent disability.
How expensive is it to remove a child?
Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
They say social workers are no longer making decisions on the welfare of children.
Instead of having social workers, master's level social workers, doing their jobs, they now have the lawyers, county councils, making the determinations on these cases.
Late tonight, in response to our request for on-camera interviews, a San Bernardino County spokesperson sent us a long email answering some of the allegations made by the former social workers in our reports. According to the email, the county says it did its own investigation into controversial cases, and in September of last year, it added a safety protocol for removing children from potentially abusive homes. Social workers can obtain court orders to remove children 24/7, and in extreme cases, children are removed on the spot with assistance from law enforcement when they are in extreme danger. The decision is ultimately made by a judge. This eliminates the concern that attorneys influence any decision to remove a child from a home because the county cannot be sued for complying with a court order. You can read the entire statement on our website. In our next report,
he took nude pictures of the girls.
Why CFS continued to allow children to be placed in a foster home that had a history of abuse.
They need to do their job right. They don't protect any kids. All these kids get hurt so much.
Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
We contacted Children's Advocacy Group, an agency that represents many of the children we've been reporting on. They declined to comment because of confidentiality laws.
For more on Gina's investigation, please go to our website, foxla.com.
In our ongoing Fox 11 Investigate series, The Children Are Dying, we've reported the allegations that children are being left in dangerous homes by the San Bernardino County Children and Family Services. And sometimes those children have died. According to former social workers, CFS management has ignored evidence of abuse and, worse, asked social workers to lie about what they've seen in abusive homes. Tonight, Gina Silva has the latest on our effort to get someone from CFS or the county to talk to us about this disturbing claim.
They're not looking out for the best interest of the kids. They're looking at what's the least amount of liability.
Insiders and former San Bernardino Children and Family Services social workers are risking their livelihood by blowing the whistle on what they call gross negligence by CFS management. They allege poor decisions have resulted in the deaths of numerous children. Children like Jaleesa Giron, who was abused, tortured, and left in an abusive home until she was killed. This is the fourth story we've reported on San Bernardino CFS. Yet Director Marlene Hagan has refused to sit down and speak with us, even off camera. 2 statements were issued from Director Hagan and 1 from the county of San Bernardino. You can read them on our website. In addition, we've seen copies of internal emails from the county spokesman, David Wirt, to the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors, accusing Fox 11 News of being unfair. These emails provide talking points to the supervisors in the event they are asked about our investigation. They were at Tuesday's board meeting.
My name is Gina Silva. I'm a reporter with Fox 11 News. I have contacted each of you to try to get a response to investigative stories we've been doing. We feel that the public deserves a response from you.
Supervisor James Ramos's response began with one of the talking points from the email.
The Board of Supervisors and everyone in the county government takes this issue very seriously. Protecting our children is the county's highest priority. The death of any child is unacceptable here in San Bernardino County. We thoroughly investigate every incident, and we institute appropriate changes to protect our children.
At the end of the Board of Supervisors hearing, the public information officer told us he might be able to get someone from the county to give us a good interview. 30 minutes later, we were told there would be no interview. As we first told you last week, the county grand jury has been investigating for more than a year allegations of wrongdoing at CFS. A report on its findings could come within the next few weeks.
As the district attorney, those are our most vulnerable victims, our children.
San Bernardino County District Attorney Mike Ramos couldn't comment on the grand jury, but he did have this to say.
That is I think, an ongoing investigation outside of my office. Right. And we will wait and see if there's anything referred to my office, at which time then we would open up an investigation if there's one that needs to be looked at, whether it's criminal or administrative.
I would expect that there should be some indictments from what I've seen. I believe that people should not be allowed to lie in court.
What are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for change. I'm hoping that there's going to be more transparency in this county, that when a child dies, everyone knows about it, so that way we can fix the problem. That they know that this child died because of the incompetency of this county.
Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
Gina's investigation into the Children and Family Services will continue next Tuesday night. Tonight we continue our Fox 11 investigation into the San Bernardino County Department of Children and Family Services. Gina Silva reports on one foster home that had been decertified more than 15 years ago after an allegation of abuse.
But CFS continued to place dozens of children in that home. A warning to you, some of the details of these allegations are very disturbing.
I feel like no kid deserves it. Nobody understands what kids go through.
This teenager is talking about her experience in foster care.
We're getting hurt, we're getting abused, like anything possible, like that's what's happening to us.
For 3 years, this teen, her brother, and younger sisters were living in this house in Victorville with their foster parents. They say they wouldn't wish what happened to them on anyone.
What hurts the most about your experience at that home?
That nobody listened to us. No social worker had our back.
According to a lawsuit filed against the County of San Bernardino, the foster agency, and the foster parents, the kids were subjected to acts of neglect and mistreatment.
We were always locked outside, and we had to use the bathroom outside. So we had to make like a little fort, like a tree fort, that was our bathroom.
The lawsuit also alleges physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Attorney Jack Anthony says the two youngest girls, ages 6 and 7 at the time, were being sexually abused by the foster dad.
The girls said that he would lay on top of them, he would lay next to them, he would masturbate in their presence, he would take their clothes off, he would fondle them, he would digitally penetrate them, he had oral sex with them. He compelled them to touch him. So there's a whole laundry list of what he did.
The older kids say they didn't know about the sexual abuse, but looking back, there were signs.
Every single night, like I'll wake up and my sisters are not in their beds. And like I get up and they're like on the couch with him. Like I never like caught on, but something was happening and I didn't know what it was.
This search warrant indicates the young victims told detectives the wife knew her husband was sexually molesting them for years. The girls said their foster dad took nude photos of them and told one of them that he'd done the same with other foster kids.
He told her that what he was doing with her, he had done with other children that had been there before her. So I understood that to mean both the photographs and the sexual molestation.
It was later discovered the alleged abuser and his wife had lost their foster license 15 years ago because of allegations of abuse. So why did CFS allow more children to be placed with this couple? It appears to have been a clerical mistake.
The home was decertified, but nothing was entered into the system correctly. So it left these foster parents open to go from one foster family agency to another foster family agency and reapply to be foster parents. And what that resulted in, 54 more kids were placed in the home over the next 10, 15 years.
Our CFS confidential sources say a social worker was the first to discover the mistake. That social worker gave detectives a list of all the foster kids who had lived with a couple, figuring they were all potential victims.
This is where the corruption of the county comes in, because when the social worker told this to management, they took all of his files. They told him he was no longer working on this case.
The social worker got into big trouble. He was written up for sending confidential information to unauthorized personnel, even though he was helping with the child molestation investigation.
Not just one person, but several people dropped the ball, and the kids suffered tremendously as a result.
The kids are now in a safe place. The foster parents are facing a criminal investigation, and the County of San Bernardino is facing a lawsuit. As for this teenager, she wants to thank our confidential sources for blowing the whistle on CFS wrongdoing. She also wants to encourage others to do the right thing.
You have to be brave and stay strong, because something positive is going to come out of it if you speak up.
Gina Silva, Fox 11 News.
We have repeatedly asked the head of the CFS, Marlene Hagan, to sit down with us to discuss the allegations from the whistleblowers in our reports. And through a spokesperson, she has repeatedly declined, but she has again issued a written statement which reads in part.
We have it right here. The safety of our children is our highest priority, and when a child cannot be safely maintained in their own home, we strive for each child in our care to be placed in a safe, loving, and nurturing environment. Oftentimes, this is with a relative or a close family friend. Each child has a team of professionals who work to ensure their safety as well as their physical, emotional, and educational well-being while in foster care. Marlene Hagan, Director, San Bernardino County Children and Family Services.
You can read the complete statement and see all of Gina's reports on our website, foxla.com.